Welcome to a conversation on contact centers, customer experience, and analysis of where we are today and the future. And to help me in that conversation, I'm joined by someone I've known for many years because we worked on a project together. So welcome, Simon Shaw. Great to have you today. And what are you up to?
Yeah, nice to see you again, Paul. So I'm now working with IBM. I lead our contact center and customer service practice across EMEA, work across all industry sectors, so heavily involved in a lot of things that we're going to probably talk about.
So 12 years now with what was New Voice Media until we were acquired by Vonage, a global company in the space of contact centers and APIs and unified communications. And I look after enterprise customers and enterprise sales in continental Europe. So let's start with contact centers and, in fact, bots. Today we're going to talk about bots. And I want to start by just going through a real example for everybody's benefit. I'd be interested to know what you think of this. Something that happened last week to a friend of mine, and he relayed this to me. He had to ring the contact center, and what he got was an automated voice, a bot, and the bot said, please enter it was a number, it's a 16-digit number, but he wasn't enter it on the keypad on the phone, which is pretty robust. He had to speak it. So he spoke out his 16-digit number, and then it read it back. And of course, it got a digit wrong. So it said, please try again. So he spoke again, this long 16-digit number, and it got it wrong again and again, 3 times. And at the end of it, you can imagine the loop in the call flow design, can't you, with the bot? At the end of it, the bot said, don't recognize you or that number. So we're done. And here's the email address you can email. And the bot hung up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we've all experienced some of these sort of automation hells, and I think it also, it brings back memories. I'm sure you agree of when we first introduced IVRs into call centers as well, and all of the poor experiences that we had there. I think, one of the things I feel is there's this sort of rush to chatbots or virtual agents as sort of a savior of everything. But I think, like anything, it has to be designed correctly and included as part of a service flow and a reason for doing it, rather than it purely being we've got lots of calls, we want to reduce costs, so let's put a barrier in the way of our customers as such, really. And I think the other thing that's interesting, it'd be great to hear your thoughts on this, Paul, is I suppose the voice bot versus the chat bot, and is there a sort of difference between the two, and where do we think maybe there is a better place for those type of technologies?
Right, and I think this kind of ties into a survey I read recently by one of the big analyst firms that said the most frustrating part of an experience or part of the journey for a caller, a consumer, is in fact getting in front of a bot. And I wonder whether there's a demographic difference. Maybe we say digitally savvy and those who are longer or slower to adopt, and a place for people used to going to a bot or not. But I'm interested in something you said. Why do contact center managers, designers feel the need for the bot? And to call deflection, I hear, and I think designers confuse call deflection with simply a goal to lower costs. So in your view, if you call deflect, why? Why should you want to call deflect at all?
Yeah, I think, we've got numerous examples where, there has been very successful use of bots or virtual assistants. And I think where we've seen it work is, yes, there is a deflection element, but the deflection element is more to do with there's very simple transactional activity that maybe a customer isn't realizing they could do self-service. So you maybe almost have a guided experience, or at the very least, you're using it to free up those agent populations to have those more complex conversations, or, you use the bot as a bit of a triage. So you capture some core information up front, but then it's passed over to an agent with the context. So that improves the experience when it lands. And I think, that's maybe the important bit. And again, going back to what I said earlier about why maybe people are needing to focus a bit more on the design and the whole journey experience from when you come in and whichever channel you're coming in. Because, a lot of the time people have tried to do something online is there something broken on that online journey that's causing them to pick up the phone or open up a live chat and things like that. So, again, it's not about taking a little piece of a journey and just trying to focus on that. It's really trying to focus on that end-to-end piece as such, really. But I certainly think there's some sort of advantages.
I think it's a major mistake, in fact, if the approach is one of, hey, everyone's talking about bots. I've been to shows, I've been on webinars, and bots are the thing, and bots can save money. So let's take the approach of taking cost out. With that, how would that do it? Reducing agent headcount is the usual thing in the end. And implement bots in isolation is perhaps a tragic mistake. And I've done a video on this before. If you're the CEO or if you're the head of customer experience, I hope you call your own number or email and actually enjoy, or perhaps not, that experience. But so doing it, I say the word holistically, but looking at all the channels together and taking it as, how could I, fundamentally saying, how could I improve customer experience rather than how can I call deflect and hence take out cost? I think that's the right way to go. And you mentioned channels. So clearly with the bot, there's what is commonly called a chat bot and a voice bot. So they each have their place. And I wonder whether tech savvy, digitally savvy, I wonder whether there's a place for text bots. Because you and I or people, we like to phone, we like to speak, we like the human touch, perhaps. The tech savvy, more digital natives, do they want to talk, or do they want to use their thumb, Simon?
Yeah, you're right. We can say there is a generational shift. We know that sort of millennials and the next generation, even behind them, they're spending so much time on their mobile that is where it's not only where they feel most comfortable, it's where they want to interact with organizations. So I think, to enable that to take place is really important, and provided those channels for the right, and, even, if you're a 70 or 80-year-old and you love your mobile app, why can't you use those channels as such, really? I think it comes down to, again, providing a choice of channels and making sure that all of the intents that you want to service on those channels can be delivered. So provided that sort of guided type of experience, really. And I think, this is where it comes back to, both Vonage and IBM and others, we're all have a responsibility when we talk to our clients and customers to not just sell them a piece of kit or a shiny tool, whether it's chatbot or this or that. And it is about, making sure they're thinking about it in a sort of a more holistic way, as you mentioned, and looking at what technologies do we need where to enhance that customer experience. And maybe we can talk a little bit more, between the two of us about where we feel it's done well and the types of things that customers need to think about when it comes to making a success of these type of technologies.
So hold that thought. I think we're time's up now for this particular video, the first in our series. The next video, we're going to cover some best practices around the design of bots. Thanks, Simon. Speak soon.
Thanks, Paul.